they may continue to heat up a little bit more. That's President Trump's style, is to heat up the rhetoric until he turns 180 degrees and stops heating it up, declares his adversary his best friend, and then settles for much less than he had been demanding. In fact, he's already given up on the preconditions for talks with Iran, and I think he's clearly begging the Iranians to come back to the negotiating table. The Iranians won't do it, though, until they get some sort of sanctions relief.
That's such an interesting take. We haven't heard that very often in the past few days, that you think actually the US is the desperate one in this situation. Can you explain that a little bit more to me?
Well, I think he said it quite clearly over and over. He said the only thing he wants to discuss is nuclear weapons. Initially, the proposition was to discuss missiles and Iran's regional behavior as well. He's dropped those demands. He's dropped the 12 preconditions from Pompeo. He's saying it over and over quite loudly that he simply wants to open discussions with Iran. I think at some point the Iranians have to come back and say, okay, we'll talk to you about nuclear weapons, but only if there's some sanctions relief. And, you know, there are a lot of sanctions. In fact, when he imposed these most recent ones, the president said we can get rid of these if Iran will talk. He can probably get rid of more than the most recently imposed ones if Iran will talk. The fact of the matter is that Trump has driven himself into a cul-de-sac here. He did the same thing with North Korea, he did it with Venezuela, and he's doing it with Israel-Palestine. This is not a good negotiating style.
What do you think the US then has to lose here? I mean, on the Iranian side, we can see the impact of sanctions being felt by everyday people, but what does the US stand to lose here, apart from Trump being seen as a weak negotiator?
Well, a couple of things. The U.S. is losing the affection of its European allies. It's losing the support that China and Russia had offered for the Iran nuclear deal. And it's encouraging hardliners in Iran who probably really do want to restart the nuclear program and race for nuclear weapons. Those are big losses.